Botani Mawethu, and welcome to the Sheds. We are back again shedding the lights on everything that matters.
Is there a possibility to see, as you're unveiling those names, to see your former presidents such as Jacob Zuma emerging in the act?
Me, I believe in leaders who emerge out of struggle. I don't believe in people who are made by the media.
The ANC is still trying to grapple with power. It is still trying, to cling on to power. And most probably that's why we're also even finding it very difficult for not just only the ANC, but also other political parties coming into the fore when it came to the review of the electoral bill.
We are talking about an 80.9 billion budget of the city of Johannesburg. Basically, to run the city, there's about 80 billion, 900 million that is involved. Somebody will ask, what does it mean to preside over a budget this big?
I haven't had time to sit back and say, hey man, well done. My focus really has been in ensuring that we are moving forward, we are sustaining. So maybe in December, sitting down with a glass of whiskey, I can say no. At least.
I want to ask this, doctor, because I think currently, as you've seen in our country, especially in the space of social media, you see people coming out having a meltdown of mental illness. Do you think people, because they don't know how to deal with it, some they just cause outbursts in those spaces? Do you think maybe the problem is that we're not having much discussion about it, that people, they don't know where to go when they start to experience?
The most important thing is that the people, they need to vote in line with the kind of future they want to live in. They can't be voting because of the past or not wanting to participate in voting at all. So what we're saying is the ATM, critically, we need to invest in the future. And the future lies in educating our young people.
From the look of things and the researches that has been done, it looks like we won't get an outright majority.
The thing was always there, the phrase was there, but we needed to take it, clothe it, because I viewed it as civic activism with purpose that needed meat.
Actually, the breaking point was seeing the people that I looked up to, Baba, subjected into such things, and they had to succumb to it.
Amazamazamas is the what meek, or I don't want to say meek, who are hard workers.
South Africa today spends 143 million rand every day paying these so-called independent power producers of renewable energy who deliver zero, because 100% of their power is redundant, meaning it is not usable in the grid.
I've got 3 clean audits. I've finalized more than 60,000 complaints and issued 412 reports. And by last year, it was only 14 or 17 which were set aside. And it's not even a percentage.
I think 30 years or so now down the line, the time to review the Constitution has come.
Botani, and welcome to the Sheds. My name is Nyanso Chegu. I'm with Nkosana Lukocholo. Mhlekazi mol.
Mhlekazi,
Are you all right, Mhlekazi?
I'm good, Mhlekazi.
Guys, do you know there's a difference between Umkhonto Wesizwe and Umkhonto Wesizwe?
It's a huge difference.
There's a big difference, Mhlekazi. A court battle is about to ensue just with U and Umkhonto Wesizwe.
Yes.
Today we're shedding light on Umkhonto Wesizwe, the military wing of the ANC, and the actual Umkhonto Wesizwe that was recently launched by Utatu Hlekisa Jacob Zuma, both on the 16th of December. The difference, the original one or the former one was announced in 1961 on the 16th of December, and the one we're talking about, Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, was launched on the 16th of December. Lebogang Moepeng is our guest to help us shed the light on Umkhonto Wesizwe. Mhlekazi mol. And welcome to the Sheds.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Sheds, Mhlekazi.
Thanks, Barbara. Welcome to the Sheds to all the viewers.
You are a hard man to track down. You seem very busy. Le party Mafikizolo is keeping you busy.
Hectic times. Mafikizolo been around from 1961.
Okay, let's start there.
Sure.
Some people are saying Umkhonto Wesizwe is the military wing of the ANC, which was formed in 1961 on the 16th of December.
Sure.
And now you, as Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, have stolen that name and we're making a party out of it, and the ANC is challenging that. Just shed the light on that as we start.
Enkosi Mhlekazi, ukhumbule 1961, the then ANC found itself in trouble. The apartheid government had banned the ANC. And ANC needed to find a solution about how do we get out of the mess that we find ourselves in. And there came the birth of Umkhonto Wesizwe to come and defend not only ANC, but defend the nation. I'll join an oath, Umkhonto Wesizwe. When you join and you take an oath, you say, I take an oath to defend South Africa first.
Okay.
And that is my priority as a deployed soldier. I defend the country, and then I'll defend with ANC after.
Okay.
That's the mandate, that's the oath. Fast forward, our comrades are back. 1993, on the 16th of December, at Orlando Stadium, the then ANC decides to disband Umkhonto Wesizwe and abandon the armed struggle. So officially, ANC then says, we are done.
With defending the country.
With defending the country.
Okay.
And Benedict, SO8. But let me go back a little bit and clarify. But Umkhonto Wesizwe, yes, was funded by ANC, but it was actually 5 stakeholders. ANC, the Alliance, Amakhosi, Abafundisi, and concerned citizens.
Yes.
And that is why the posture Umkhonto was to say, we'll defend Isizwe sethu.
This is the spear of the nation.
Of the nation.
Okay.
Kamalayo says it all. So 30 years later, it's then picked up. Not launched, but announced.
Okay.
Exactly 30 years later.
You announced.
Remember, they disbanded on the 16th of December, 1993. 16th December, 2023. Malala stands up, His Excellency, and says, we've registered Umkhonto. And Umkhonto is back. It was registered with my blessing and knowledge. Umkhonto is back. To do what? To defend Mzansi. Because we are at the point where we need to defend Mzansi. And that's where we are. So we've been made aware, and but there are court battles. Abantu will take us to court. We welcome that. And that's what we fought for. We was able to fight for that. For the right to be able to defend what you believe is right. Go to the courts and let the courts decide about what will happen. Mind you, they did challenge Umkhonto. But interestingly so, they challenged registration of Umkhonto IEC after IEC gives it the thumbs up. We acknowledge that you are here. You are now officially a political power. Then they decide to get him out of the arrogance, to say, oh, it's registered land, let's challenge it.
Just to be clear, just to follow up on there. So you're saying, Mr. Lebogang, IEC did it, they tick the boxes, T's and C's, and say that you guys have complied. They never had an issue with the name.
So the entire process was followed. Remember, you put an application with IEC, the processes you have to comply with, and as you comply, unless you tick certain boxes, your application will not be considered. And after you do that, there's then a period in which you need to gazette. For not only other political parties, but for the country to know and comment and or object. Asazi ke ama-comrade benu, why they didn't choose to object then.
So you even had time to object.
But you see, when you're arrogant, you miss such things. And then only once it's announced and publicized, then you start to jump and make statements in media that will challenge this. So we welcome them. Let them exercise their democratic right to challenge what they want to challenge. So they challenged the IEC and they lost.
Now they're taking you to court.
Now they want to take us to court on the same basis.
Mhlekazi, you are the national spokesperson of Umkhonto Wesizwe. I forgot that, Mhlekazi, when I introduced him, in case somebody is wondering, who are they talking to? Where does Lewang feature in? You're the national spokesperson of Umkhonto Wesizwe. Just take us through at which point and who initiates this does Umkhonto Wesizwe comes about to be formed. The revived one. You say it was done away with, disbanded by the ANC in 1993. At which point and who makes this decision that, and where does it come from? Just take us through that. Where does it, how does it start and how does it come about?
That's fine. Let me just clarify. So, deployment says, in the interim, you play the role of second deputy president.
Okay.
So that's the role I play.
So you're second deputy president.
By deployment.
Oh, wow, okay.
There could be redeployment.
Okay.
When you're a soldier, a commander at two,
Yes.
you take that command.
No, my mom does. By deployment, you are second deputy president.
Yes.
Who is the president?
It so happened, but when there was an invitation to invite the media to the press conference,
Yes.
Ikamala was put in there.
Okay.
Right? And the natural assumption would be this is the spokesperson.
Yeah.
And let me qualify that. Remember, Lento assumes the posture of Amasocha. Amasocha who are saying enough is enough.
Yes.
We have to stand up. And normally such decisions are very unpopular. Abantu to are comfortable, one, and or two, abantu to have been intimidated. So akekho umuntu ofuna ukusukuma athi hey ukhona come in, let's go and fight.
Yanis asked this question that who actually formed? Were you somewhere at a gathering? Was there any gathering to say we are forming this party? And where was it? Where did it happen?
And in fact, just before that, I wanted him to first answer who is the interim president.
Yes.
Then. Looks like interim structure.
Then you leap to the second question.
Then you leap to the second.
That's fine. Commander Jabulani Khumalo
Okay.
is the interim president.
Okay.
Who happened to be the commander who registered at the IEC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's the current.
Who's the first deputy president?
No. We'll get to that.
Okay. All right.
Get to that.
Okay.
So that's Khumalo. And let me answer the first question that you asked as well.
Okay.
And His Excellency spoke to it at the press conference. We tried within the structures of the ANC to see how could we fight for Umzansi, for the core of who Umzansi is. And on numerous occasions, we failed. Our comrades would be suspended and they'd be struck off membership roll of the ANC and they'd be thrown out the minute you spoke out. Yeah? After exhausting those options within the frameworks that are available to say, we don't agree with this, you then find yourself outside. And then when you're outside, what you do? You then try and find other alternatives because it talks to a national duty that we all have to serve our nation. We all have a role to save and save our country where we are right now. Yeah? So the then option then says, but history always finds a way to repeat itself. And how is it repeating itself here? Is ANC in the 1960s. And all these stakeholders said, let's find a way through the registration or the incorporation or the formation of Umkhonto to defend the Isizwe. And we were naturally drawn to that, to say, let's probably take that posture because we can't solve them inside the ANC. Let's isolate, but still within the ANC. And this is what is confusing about I'm still an ANC member, but I will vote Umkhonto. And I'm encouraging and motivating South Africa to vote Umkhonto. But I'm still ANC. Yeah. So that then starts our discussions. And Sue Umkhonto spoke about we had to operate underground.
How long did you start operating?
A few months.
A few months.
A few months.
Who are you hoping to defend the country against?
His Excellency spoke about it when he addressed the nation and the international community to say, but we now at a point where we have to defend the country. And went on to elaborate. Go back to that speech, you'll figure out. So where we are right now is, and I'll quote a bit on what Abantu would always quote when they talk about the late Tata Mati, who says, when the ANC does to you what the apartheid government did to you, we can finish that off. Then go after ANC. So ANC has been hijacked by some rogue units who are proxies, which I mentioned, who've now hijacked the ANC.
We want you to mention them here.
And they've pulled away from the mandate of the ANC. Resolutions were taken in various conferences to say, this is the official ANC policy.
Yes.
And this is the direction in which we move in. How many have been implemented? We'll talk about that some other time, because that needs a bit of time. So we are saving the nation from rogue units who've controlled and have occupied the capital of our nation.
Are these rogue units within the ANC or using people within the ANC or the ANC itself?
Would say same WhatsApp group. So it's really the same WhatsApp group. It's an incorporation of bonke nabantu, inside and outside, seemingly all with the same objective that is leading our nation into destruction.
Mhlakazi, I want to ask this question before I forget. It's the thought before it escapes me.
Yes.
He keeps on saying, like a soldier. He takes. Are you a soldier? Umkhonto is a soldier. At some point, were you?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a soldier. So I come in, and this is the call to the country and the nation, that you don't have to be a soldier to fight.
Yes.
But we can collaborate nama soldier.
Okay.
Because this fight needs all of us. It has gone beyond, do I have struggle credentials or I don't? I heard Gunekenge on social media says, struggle credentials. Lento is 3 days old, so we are also participating.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about.
What are you hoping to achieve in your fight in defense of the nation? What is it that you want to achieve as Umkhonto Wesizwe Party?
To reclaim our nation and take it back to its rightful shareholders. Shareholders who could be able to give mandate to the executive that serves its interests.
Are you saying the current executive is not serving the interests of the people?
Any South African who lives in South Africa and or abroad can see what is happening. Yeah, but commentators worldwide reference us as an example of what a society in decay looks like. So things are bad. We can see that. Not only can we see that, we can feel that.
You are reported to have 3 million members. Is that true?
So those numbers, I tried to get IT to clear as I was coming here. So it's going for 4 million. But I'll get there.
So from 3 now to 4 now.
I think when we closed business yesterday,
yes.
Look, at some point the stats would say we are processing close to 3,000 applications per minute.
Okay.
Per minute, not per day.
Per minute.
Okay.
And that's why on Sunday, hardly 24 hours after His Excellency announces that let's vote Umkhonto, the system crashed because we didn't anticipate such feedback and response from Umzansi, which is testimony to the frustrations that we all feel, young, old, irrespective of who you are in society, we all feel the pain.
So what happens? Are people registering, paying a membership fee, or what? Just take us to
so the close to 4 million is a combination one of people who've registered, people who visited the website, and people who've also registered and paid the membership.
So the system is online. Is it online, or you maybe food soldiers for people who also live in rural areas who are doing manual registration?
And that's a good question. Because remember, Umkhonto says we've been operating underground. And one of the disadvantages of being underground is, one, it humbles you because you're not used to life's comfortness that we all get used to. But also puma underground, I'm like need to acclimatize and get used to the light. So we're still trying to find ourselves. We're a new party. So the close to 4 million doesn't include the physical members in terms of physical paper.
Yes.
So that's an ongoing exercise. So by the time that's collated and volunteers are volunteered to work through Christmas, because people are crying, but what Christmas? Because we can't even afford to take up biscuits. So we've got volunteers who are saying, bring in the papers and we'll collate those so that before we close the calendar year, we can be able to report to Mzansi. These are the actual numbers. So all the numbers that have been mentioned now, these are all online.
And these are nationally. These are not from a certain province. So
this is national. This is national. When I had a snapshot of the system, the back end of the system 2 days ago. So the hotspots was Western Cape, predominantly the Cape Town area.
Okay.
We had the Eastern Cape around East London area, PE. We had KZN, predominantly eThekwini, because it's a metro, so you have a lot of numbers. Gauteng, I think, took the lion's share in terms of online activities.
Okay.
And then all these other provinces, you had smaller sort of numbers in terms of people participating, registrations, and or visiting for information on the website.
Mr. Lebogang, I just want to ask this question before Nyeniso comes in. We're going to elections next year. Very straight to the answer, with the numbers that you've mentioned of 4 million or so, plus minus 4 million of registrations that you have as members of your party. Where do you see yourself in terms of elections next year? Straight to the point.
2/3 majority minimum.
2/3 majority. So MK party will be running the country.
MK party will be the official government of the day in 2024.
What makes you so sure? I mean, it's only close to 4 million. The ANC currently is ruling the country with just over 10 million votes. And how do you think you're going to get to over 10 million?
So history tells us the ANC was founded in 1912. And I recall around shortly after the 2010 World Cup, ANC celebrating its centenary, saying we've got about 1 million members. So 100 years, 1 million members. And we've got our friends who are about 10 years old, still in primary school, who were celebrating to say, in 10 years, we've also hit the 1 million mark. You know, looking to the ANC and saying, it took you 100 years. Look at us, 10 years. We are still under a week.
And you're counting 4 million.
And we're counting 4 million. We haven't counted the physical papers that are still being run by the administrative team. So those numbers could rise.
When are you calling these people to a stadium to test their support?
Yes, I was about to say that as well, to ask that.
So
to fill a stadium.
No, that's fine. I think we'll need to clarify here that we're not politicking to compete and or to scratch anyone's, in terms of annoying people. We need to save the country. And remember, we're taking that military posture. That says when you deploy the soldier, there's only one mission and one mission only. This mission here is to save the country, right? So in terms of we'll fill up, somebody filled up, we are not there. But we will call the nation. It should be before end of January.
Before end of January
2024.
Okay.
Where we plan to achieve two things. One, to officially launch the party, and two, to launch a manifesto for the country to know what we stand for. But the drive that will be happening now which is also still happening on the ground, is to engage South Africa, to say, what are the burning issues that you want us to address?
Yeah, to come there. One again, just to take it from your words, you will say, you are saying that the ANC has been ruling the country almost 30 years. And one will assume that people know, South Africans know what are the problems.
Yes.
And you are saying now you're still going to consult the masses. By now, one will say you should be knowing what are the biggest problems in South Africa, and these are your priorities. How do you respond to that?
Yes and no. Yeah? But the problem here is then we are taking a blanket approach of what everyone says.
Okay.
By media that might not represent everybody's views.
Okay.
So it's crucial that we go to the ground. We go to a taxi rank. We go to schools, to those who are affected by the educational system on a day-to-day basis, hoping to find a future that they're hoping this institution will shape that future, and engage them and understand exactly what are the issues. It's easy to pick up a newspaper and assume these are the issues. So South Africa will speak, and that will give shape to what we then ultimately adopt as our manifesto.
What has been your struggles? And one would think, if you're saying you want to defend the country, that or he from whom you want to defend the country would resist. And I mean, if you see a soldier wanting to wrestle and take over, you will fight back. Has there been any fight back? Are you safe as the people in the forefront of Umkhonto Wesizwe wants to defend the country? How are your lives currently?
Especially being underground.
Especially being underground and now coming out, being the face, and all those things. How is it going?
Well, by God's grace, we are still safe. And we hope that remains that way.
Okay.
I, for one, have small children. All my 4 children are under 10 years of age. So I'd like to raise my children. I'd like to see them get married. I'd like to see them have children, which I could then take care of. And this is what talks to the actions that have been taken now.
Okay. Which are?
To defend the country. So that abantwana bethu don't hate this country and feel there's a greener pasture elsewhere. Water the grass we have.
Have you been challenged?
In what way?
Directly challenged by somebody who says, what are you doing?
South Africa, if anything, keeps calling to say we applaud the bravery. Because of all the options that are there, people are saying these haven't been options. And you know, people echo the sentiments and are saying, I wasn't going to vote. Now I'm going to vote. I get called by ladies who say, Ntarame, I've been eating pension for more than 20 years. That gives you an idea of how old I am. And I stopped voting a long time ago. But this, which I heard this past weekend on the 16th of December, is encouraging me, not only myself, but wonke umuntu who's in my house, who's eligible to vote, to stand up and go and vote for Umkhonto. Why? Because we are defending the country.
Class, we're left with 2 minutes. Do you have any question? Any last question? Because I want to give him a chance to say whatever was supposed to say.
Yeah, I wanted
That's
to
his
find out
message to the people.
on social media, one will say, in fact, on social media, that's where the debate is happening about the new party, Umkhonto Wesizwe. Are you working with other political parties that are like-minded, like you, Economic Freedom Fighter? Are you working with them?
So what we are saying is we are open to talk and dialogue with the interest of saving the country. If you have an interest to save the country and you can prove that you have that intent, let's talk.
Is Mamalala the godfather of Umkhonto Wesizwe? You've quoted him quite often. Is he the wisdom of Umkhonto Wesizwe or the engine?
So Mamalala is there. Mamalala has always been the commander-in-chief of Umkhonto Wesizwe.
So you've revived that role.
So we've revived that role. As to whether he'll be on the ballot box or not, time will tell.
So he could be on the ballot box.
South Africa will decide.
Okay.
Yeah? South Africa will decide. So we are still yet, and that is why we have an interim structure that says, let's go back to our people, engage our people.
Is he in the interim structure, Mamalala?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
No, he's not.
But he said he's a commander-in-chief.
Oh, all right. So he deploys you.
So he's part
You
of...
come back to report. So your head office is in country.
Head office is where the people are.
Okay.
Yes.
So head office is in South Africa.
So everybody's individual's home is the head office
Okay.
of this party because it requires each and every individual participation. This is not about people. This is not about factional battles. It's about saving the nation. Let's save the nation first. I think twofold. One, for our children who are still here to walk the streets of Johannesburg, for those of us who live in Johannesburg, and walk those streets freely and comfortably without worry of what could happen from a safety perspective.
Yeah.
But two, for those whose blood was shed fighting for this freedom that we had hoped would enjoy. I think we owe it to them as well.
Cool. Just in 10 seconds, can you mention one name of the person who's responsible for the mess of where the country is? Just one person as an example.
The current ANC and its leadership.
Oh, okay. You've been watching the sheds. We've been shedding light on Umkhonto Wesizwe. You've heard it for yourself. Are you convinced that they will take this country to the right direction? Will you vote for them? Do you think they can salvage the direction and path of this country? You have been watching the shed. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.